Hi, welcome to Viewpoint. I'm your host, Lily Newman, along with my co-host, Susan Solomon, Executive Director of Drug Crisis in Our Backyard. We'd like to welcome Tammi Jacobs Schulman from TeenDrugTest. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
So tell us about TeenDrugTest. How did you get started? What do you do?
Well, we got started because I had a friend of mine one evening give me a call, and she asked me, she told me she found some substance in her child's bedroom and wanted to know what it was. So I had her come over to my house, and I took a look at the stuff, and it looked like synthetic cannabinoid, K2, also known as spice. So I told her that you need to go get your child drug tested. So she went and she got her child drug tested, and the results came back as negative. I was pretty surprised with that. Now, I wasn't able to run on instrumentation, but it did look like pretty good stuff. So I was surprised by that. So I started looking into it, and I found out that so many of the labs that say they do drug testing don't test for designer drugs, but don't tell the parents that. So as a parent, you're trying to do the best for your child. You're sending them to a lab. You're getting it tested, hoping they'd find out what your kid is on. And it turns out they don't even tell you that they don't test for designer drugs.
So they do test for a certain number of drugs, right? Like there might be a 6-panel, 7-panel.
They start with
12-panel.
Department of Transportation with 5-panel. Then a lot of times they can do the 7-panel and then the 9-panel.
And the 12-panel.
But most of them are doing like the 5-panel.
Which tests for what?
When you say most, what do you mean most?
Well, that's usually the first kind of panel that insurance companies pay for. A lot of doctors, pediatricians, when they submit testing, they want to be tested for, they do a 5-panel screen.
And what drugs are being?
Well, basically what they're doing is some traditional drugs. They're doing, and I didn't go over it so much, so
That's
I apologize.
All right.
But they're doing marijuana, they're doing PCP, known as phencyclidine, they're doing cocaine, they're doing amphetamines, which covers methamphetamine, amphetamine, and they were doing codeine, morphine, and for heroin, they look for 6-monocetamorphine.
Okay.
So it's called 6-MAM is what they look at
Okay.
that. And so it was just a set number of drugs. And even the other ones, they don't cover. There's so many drugs out there, and they don't cover any of the synthetic drugs. They're not looking at the bath salts, the K2, which a lot of kids take.
Yeah.
They're not looking at a substantial number of drugs.
Right.
And there's so many new designer drugs. And
Like
while
what?
we're at it, can we talk what a designer drug
Yes,
is?
Yes.
please. Absolutely.
So let's just say that tomorrow kids go out roller skating and 300 kids break their arm in the country. And the country says, you know what, that's too dangerous. We're going to control, not allow roller skating anymore. We're going to make it illegal. So in order to make it illegal, they have to draw out what a roller skate looks like. And it looks like a boot. And they have a wheel at the left side, a wheel at the right side, and 2 more wheels at the bottom separated of what a traditional roller skate looks like.
Right.
That's a roller skate. That'd be illegal. Now a bad guy comes along and puts a wheel right in the center of the roller skate. It doesn't even touch the ground. But now it no longer has 4 wheels, which is what a roller skate has.
Right.
Now it has 5 wheels. It's no longer roller skate.
Right, right.
So
So it's no longer illegal.
that's right.
Got it.
So to circumvent the law, they might change one little molecule in something. It may not even make a difference as far as the effect of it.
Right.
But the fact is, just the structure of it is different. It's no longer legal.
Yeah,
That's a
I've
huge problem.
heard that before. Like the K2, I won't even call it synthetic marijuana because it's not marijuana at all. It's some stuff that's been sprayed with chemicals and put in a bag. And many of the places that sell that, gas stations and things like that, they'll say it's illegal, but then something has changed in the formulation to make it legal for them to carry it again.
That's correct.
So that's really a big problem with this. Is terrible stuff that K2.
Really terrible stuff. And sometimes people can take it, kids can take it, and they're never the same after that. So
What is
everybody's
K2?
different.
Help me out. What is it?
You know what? It's very hard to say. It's a type of synthetic substance that was designed to mimic the effects of marijuana.
Got it. Okay.
And it's really all sorts of effects, from your pulse rate, overheating, your heart.
Right.
People can have They can have seizures. They can
get
be
angry, they can get
violent,
violent.
agitated, you know, so many different things and so many different effects and by different people. So we can't really say, the reason why we can't say what K2 is in spice is because it keeps on changing.
Right.
So like years ago, everybody would say the word Molly. Molly was MDMA, which is known as methylene dioxymethamphetamine, which is ecstasy, known as that. So now people buying it even on the streets, they say, I bought Molly. Molly is not made of MDMA, ecstasy anymore. It's made of a bath salt. So what people think they're buying, it keeps on changing the content of what's in it.
Right.
So it's no longer the same thing. So what was yesterday can be different 2 days from now.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how they get away with it, because like you said, they change one thing on it, and then it's not illegal any longer. So then,
Correct.
And you're a forensic scientist by
trade, yes.
So then, how do you keep up with this?
Well, that is the hard thing all around the country. For example, when things first started changing and we didn't know what was in the crime lab yet, what was coming in, we might have, in fact, even missed some of those drugs in case samples. Because unless we have a known standard that we buy, that's a known drug that we buy, we run out instrumentation, we then have something to compare it with. If no one's had it yet, we don't know what it looks like. So that's a problem. And until they realize they see enough of this on the streets and they analyze it, and we see a new drug, by law enforcement, we try to get intelligence and share information, which is what we do, because different parts of the country see different drugs.
Right, right.
Some more than others. It just depends.
Yeah. So now tell us about your company.
Okay. So going back to when my friend found when it was a negative test result, when I found out that so many laboratories don't actually test for designers, that bothered me. It bothered me because if they would have said, we only test for X, Y, Z, I'm totally fine with that. But don't let a parent think you're testing for everything and that comes back negative and the kid's like, see, I told you so, I'm not using something.
Right, exactly.
So the parents lost that, you know, that rapport kind of with the child. There's not that trust.
Right.
And yet now the parent's kind of scared to go after the kid again.
That's right.
Exactly.
Because what happened before.
That's right.
So then I found out something really alarming, that if you as a parent see your child coming home and something's not right about them, something's different, their friend group's changing, their grades are going down, just you can't put your finger on it, but something's not right, and you go to your pediatrician and you say, please drug test my child. The pediatrician's going to ask the child if they want to be drug tested. If the kid says no, a lot of pediatricians won't do it.
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
And that's shocking to me. So what is a parent to do?
Exactly.
A parent is like, oh my God, I think my kid's on something and they won't help me. So here comes TeenDrugTest.
Right.
So with TeenDrugTest, we fill out online, there's observations that the parent fills out. They talk about what the kids, are they speaking fast? Are they talking slower? Are they sleeping more? Are they sleeping less? Are they eating more? Their pupils, their eyes. What medications are the kids on? What medications are everybody else in the house on?
Right, because they could be taking those meds.
Definitely. So we want to know these things. Not just that, because what happens if a test and a kid's on amphetamine and the lab just stops because they think we found it?
Right.
So we want to know what they're on to look for other things.
Right.
So when a parent fills it out, what happens is a kit, a urine kit is sent to their house.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And in the urine kit has everything they need, including a coal pack to keep it cold, to send. It actually has also the envelope for Federal Express that will pick it up from their house so the parent doesn't have to do anything. Already labeled, ready to go. I teach the parents on the site basically things to look for, when to drug test their child. For example, I think it's best when you see your child come home one night and they seem to be, let's say, high. Something's not right, they're acting different, you think there's something up. I teach the parents to wake the kids up like at 4:30 in the morning and just make them urinate in a cup. The kids don't expect it, they're kind of groggy, it's more concentrated. Kids and adults start to learn, you know, how they can beat the system. They might drink tons of water if they know it's coming, keep on avoiding it, drink other things. So we don't want to know it's happening. It's the element of surprise. So the parent, keep that urine kit hidden, and when you see that it's ready, that's when you take the kit. That urine kit, I have a piece of evidence tape so that if a parent has to put it in the freezer for over the weekend, so you can see if it's been tampered with. It then goes to this lab overnight mail to this lab by Federal Express, where they start doing the testing. The very thing that I think is so terrific, a lot of labs, you write what you think it is, they send it for the testing, done. That's your last shot. No, here the urine stays there until I say it comes back. So let's say it comes back as negative for a certain type of testing. And I'm like, you know what? I think we need to try bath salts. I'm going to talk to the parents. I'm going to say, here's why I think we need to do this other test. If they say yes, we continue with the testing. The urine stays there until I say it comes back. And when a test comes back as positive or even negative, the parents have their own portal. They get to go onto their own page, and they can look up, and there's a place for them to put their address in. And when they put that address in, all the treatment facilities all in the area are going to come up. So the parent isn't stuck with a report saying, your kid's on drugs. Oh my God, what do we do?
Wow.
We want to give the parents support and help. So the parents have all these different treatment facilities, even some showing the specialties of what they do right there, that they can call them, they can reach out, they're not left alone. And then, even more so, what I wanted to have quality. I wanted to have complete quality so the parents aren't scared, what do I do? That the parents can speak to a toxicologist. We allow for a tox consult for the parents, where they have 3 different windows where they can schedule on their time to speak to a toxicologist who can answer any questions they have for like up to 15 minutes. The parents might say something like, how much you think my kids had to be on to get that positive result? Do you think they could be on something else? Does other things interfere with this? They can ask any question. So the parent feels better, confident. They can ask their questions because it's all new for them. People in treatment, we also allow for the therapist to also speak to the toxicologist besides the parents. So, and a person in treatment, the therapist can have the kit sent directly to their office so they can surprise their clients if need be, if they want to. Really important thing that I left out, very, very important, is this is about 100% confidentiality.
Yeah.
So there are certain labs out there that I know they were hacked into, and people know all their business. Here, I want to be there for the kids and for the parents. So the kids get a number. The number is made up of the last 4 of the parents' social security number, the first 2 letters of the kid's first name, the first letter of their last name. That's their number. So the parents, if they forgot it, can look it up that way. Their child's name will never be on any form showing a positive drug test. Never. So it can't interfere with college. It can't interfere with anything. The bottom line is, let's get them help as fast as we can.
Yep, we agree.
And
So I have a question for something you had said that, so if someone sends a urine test in for toxicology, do they have to indicate what drug they think is being used?
No, because that's what makes it, I'm the forensic scientist. I'm the one who has the knowledge for what's happening around in the country. A lab that just has a regular lab that keeps on doing it, they're not on top of all the new things that come in.
But because they answer all those questions.
They're going to answer all those questions.
That gives you an idea.
We're going to triage it.
Got it.
And actually, the test that I'm doing is expanded. It's bigger than all the other tests that you mentioned for the panels. It covers a lot of the designer drugs. It covers LSD. It covers, because those have to be separate panels. None of those other panels show LSD and other drugs.
All right, so let me just ask you a question.
Okay.
So like if I give someone a 12-panel test, it's a 12-panel test, and everything that they used is going to come up positive. Not only one thing, but everything. So let's say they used cocaine, they used benzos, and they used Suboxone, let's just say.
Okay.
All 3 of those are going to come up positive. So my question to you is that true with your tests? Like all the drugs that they're on are going to come up positive or negative, whatever? I mean, but is it going to show more than one drug at a time? Because I got the feeling before when you said that the test came out negative and they're going to hold the urine until you tell them that you don't want them to hold it anymore, that you'd go back in for another test.
Well, let's be honest. There's nothing 100% right now, especially with new drugs coming in on the streets, appearing every week. There's something new.
Right.
So we can't 100% know that we're going to get the drug. But this lab and my business gives us, TeenDrugTest, the best chance to get it. Let me go back on what we're talking about. So these tests that cover all these things, I also, by the way, cover synthetic cannabinoids, which no one covers. That's also included. Because my philosophy is, I want to get it at the beginning.
Yes.
I don't want a kid to have to go for a month. The parents want to drug test them again and try something else and something else, because too much time goes by and they could end up dead. Right. So I want to try to nip it at the beginning. And so that's why I do this expanded screen, which covers more than all those panels that you talked about. And going back to it, yes, the lab that I use will not put out will not put out a substance unless they confirm for it. So if somebody's on 5 different substances, they'll see 5 different confirmations. Right. And they might have to do confirmations with different types of drugs. They have to have different settings for that drug to appear. But if they see it on a screen, which is showing, you get false positives and false negatives, could be on a screen depending on what they use, but the lab will not put out result without confirming it. And that's very, very important.
So then your lab does the gas chromatic mass spectrometer. It does, so you get the screen, and let's say it's positive, you will then do a higher level of testing to zero in to see if it's actually, let's say, positive for pot.
That's correct.
Okay.
And actually, forensic labs go by like the scientific working group for, for abused drug seizures. And there's certain categories for instrumentation that you have to use. There's category A, and then there's category B and C. C is not as strong. Category A is like the mass specs, which is discriminating. It's a molecular confirmation. Right. Category B is not as strong as category A, so it's a combination. And this lab uses the best techniques that there are, and they will go along with those guidelines and use something from category A and something from any other category, or they'll have to have at least 2 tests from category B and C. But all these other labs, this lab uses category A and category B.
Because I know the most labs out there, when they send the urine from a program, it's a screen.
And that bothers me.
It's just a screen. Now, tell me what's a screen? It'll just...
Okay. So there's different methods. A GC mass spec screen, we usually don't get, you don't see really false negatives, but we still won't put something out without getting the actual standard and running it on our instrument under the same conditions as a sample. That would be a confirmation for the drug, and our sample, that fragmentation pattern from that drug has to match with the standard. So if you did other techniques, there's immune assays. It's like people who get a cup from CVS, a color test. There's false positives and false negatives. So is it an indicator? Yes. But also, if something's very dilute, you won't see it. It'll be a false negative.
Right.
A gas chromatograph with a mass spectrometer is far more sensitive. So it depends on the technique used.
Okay,
but
so let's get off that. This is a little too scientific for me. Okay,
okay. Sorry.
Okay, you could do this. You could do this drug testing that'll really help the parent understand what their kid is using. Now, it sounds like you have a very robust platform for getting the parent to understand what treatment facilities are available to them if the kid is using, if it comes up positive. Is your platform? Your platform seems very robust from what you said.
My platform is I'm right now using one particular lab, and the reason being is they're accredited lab.
Okay.
They're the ones that forensic scientists respect. They do the most in the country that we know of, probably the premier on designer drugs. Teaching, guiding people, giving all sorts of seminars. They put the money in, and in fact, every month they update their testing. They have new drugs, and ones that they don't see anymore, they don't even test anymore. Other labs that say they do some designer drugs do the same ones from 5 years ago.
So the drug testing company that's doing the drug testing is their platform? Is that it? That gives the parent the treatment facilities to go to?
It's yours. It's your website.
It's my website. I am sending their stuff to the lab.
Right.
I have a contract with them. I think they're the best that there is. Yeah. I have toxicologists who, when they found out the lab, they're like, oh my God, that's fantastic. You have to use
great.
that.
But the point is that when it comes back positive, it doesn't leave a parent out there. It seems like your website offers a lot for a parent so they're not lost. You ask them about family. You ask them
Support.
what's going on. You tell them what drug programs are in their
I think
area.
And I think that's so important, because the worst thing is having a child, you're already so frightened, and to not know, what do I do with this information?
Right.
Right, exactly right. So is it your website then gives them the treatment facilities in their zip code that are available?
Yes.
So that's what I'm asking you
Oh,
about.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That platform, your website, it seems very robust.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And also, you know, as far as the toxicologist will see the report. They'll view the report before the parent talks to them. They will know that the parent wants to be contacted, and they will also review the report, so they'll be ready to go and know what questions and have a chance to really look at the results.
It really is fab. It's very,
service.
very
It's
good. I'm
in-depth.
very impressed with it. I think that it can really help a lot of people, because it is about early intervention. It's about finding out what's going on early on so that you can help their kid before they go further.
Before they lose their scholarship for college or the sports.
Right.
Or wind up dead. I mean,
Exactly.
this is like, you know, the other thing is, I noticed that I was on a panel for a heroin panel that they had a drug talk at John Jay High School. And the people who go there are the ones who are interested, and a lot of people who really need the help don't go to these talks. So this way, they don't have to be worried that anybody's going to know what they're doing or what's going on in their life. They can get the help in the privacy of their own house. And I have to tell you, someone who's going to take their kids into a laboratory to go get tested, those hours, you try to get your teen up at 10 o'clock after they've been high and drunk, 11 o'clock, and get them there, the clock's ticking. Their substances, especially when the designer drugs, we don't even have a good solid hold to know how long before they break down.
Right.
Some things are a couple hours. So here, you do your house, you stick in the freezer, it's good to go.
Right.
Okay, and so I feel confident also we're giving them the best chance to find out what they're on. Will it always be? No, I wish it were. But I think of any place, we're going to find out if it's possible what's on it. This lab provides, you know, our best way for us to
But it's
investigate
also
what
how
they're on.
you've set up your website. It's not just where someone hands in a cup of piss and they get a piece of paper, and like you said, parents are left to their own devices to figure out what to do.
I also have a video for the parents, besides instructions in the kit that goes how to pack up the kit, even a video showing them step by step, because some things look easy to people, but the little things, it's hard.
Right.
I also teach parents, don't teach them, but I instruct them, for example, what to say to their kids to get them to urinate.
Right.
Like a kid says, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Just some replies, what you can say to your kids. You're living under my house, you're going to do it. Okay, you don't want to do it, you don't need a car.
Right.
There's things, because as a parent, if you get to that point to drug test your child, you're pretty scared.
That's right.
Yeah.
You are.
I think you're
Exactly.
scared.
And you get stuck.
Yeah, you don't know what to
you
say.
Don't know what
so
to say.
that's very good. So when are you operational?
I wanted to be operational starting yesterday, but it's going to, by June 1st, the latest. So
Okay.
by June 1st, we're ready to roll.
All right.
We have things almost totally just some loose ends, and I don't want to have loose ends.
Right.
I want to make sure that it operates smoothly, because
Absolutely.
it's very important. I want people to feel secure and satisfied, and so that's very important. So I want time to just.
What's the
play along.
cost?
That's a very good question.
Hope you don't mind me asking.
I do, but that's okay. The cost is $800. And the reason why the cost, I know it may seem expensive for some people, but I have to tell you, I could go to a lab that does drug testing for the basic 5-panel screen and probably pay $110. Okay, this lab is a premier lab. They spend all this money constantly to update all the designer drugs. That's what costs so much money. So I want quality. I don't want to miss something and have this kid be on stuff and the parent doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
So to me, I want to do the best I could possibly do for someone. If down the road and once we really get rolling, I would love to try to write up grants maybe to try to help for some people who can't. But for right now, this is what we have to do, and it's that expensive, unfortunately.
But I have
Is it does insurance cover?
You know, I heard that insurance doesn't cover for designer drugs, which I find very interesting.
I'm not sure about that.
And I would love to know that
I think
answer.
they do.
Could you find that answer out
I
for
know
me?
that for us, when someone gives a urine, if we want to test for K2 or spice, we'll write spice. It's extra, but it goes.
Will insurance pay for that?
Let me check.
Because I was told insurance doesn't.
And I guess it all depends on the arrangement that this facility has with the lab also.
And also what insurance?
And what insurance.
What insurance
And I
company
called
it is.
up insurance companies. A lot of them will not even cover. So it depends on, I don't know how much of drug testing they do. Will they cover just a 5-panel?
Right.
Will they cover, an 8-9-panel?
Right.
I don't know. And it's interesting, when I've called up some other places to find out, no one will tell me. They will not release the information.
So that's something that's very difficult to find out.
Very difficult. And so for right now, being told also the designer drugs are not covered, I have to start out and not take insurance starting out.
Right.
Down the road, I would love to take insurance because I want to help as many people
Right.
as I can.
Because I have to tell you something, as a parent, you test once, it comes back negative, and your kid looks honky the weekend, you might take him for another test,
Right.
another $110. You might get up to $800 within 2 months.
Yeah, but is that, so that's one test. So what if a parent does have to come back?
When you say one test, what I cover this, I think realistically, I'd say approximately 80% of whatever they're on is going to be covered under my testing. I
Yeah.
think even higher than that.
So let's
'Cause we're
say they
covering
come,
so
they're
much.
negative then, but the
Yes.
parents then a couple of weeks from now says, I don't like the way he looks, I want to do this test again.
They can.
Is it 800 again?
You know what? That's something I have to figure
You have
out.
to think about.
I tell you what. Part of me
have
is
to
very
think about
but
that.
part
Right.
of me is very scared with that, because now what happens if I don't test for it and I miss it?
Right.
What happens? There's a liability to me. How can I ignore that? It's even like people in drug. One of my things I'm fearful of is someone in drug treatment, and they just want you to test for heroin, but they know that they're looking for heroin, so they
Right.
might try another
That's
drug
right,
instead of heroin.
absolutely.
Yeah,
and so
yep,
you're
you're
going to miss
absolutely right.
it.
You're
You're
gonna
not
miss
just
it.
doing the
You're
heroin.
absolutely
So
right.
anyway, what is your email, your website?
Please tell everyone your website. Look at the camera, I'm telling your website.
It's info@teendrugtest.net.
Okay, great, because we...
My
go ahead.
website is teendrugtest.net is my website.
Okay, that's your website.
Yes.
TeenDrugTest.net.
All one word.
TeenDrugTest.net.
Terrific.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
well, I think it's a great
Website.
product you have in service, and so we'll get some information from you. We'll put it on
Right,
our
absolutely.
website, and this way, if people need it, we say go to our website and get in touch with Tammi.
Thank you very
great
much.
having
You're welcome.
you.
It was
Thank
very,
you.
Thank you
very
for having me. I
informative.
really
You have to
appreciate
come back because we didn't talk about the legislation
Oh boy.
about when the FDA says a drug is illegal.
The Drug Enforcement
Right.
Administration.
Okay,
We have
we'll
to
do
do
that
that
on
next.
our next one.
Our next show, we'll have to do that one. You'll
Yeah.
have to come back.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you
We
very much.
appreciate
You're very welcome.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. We were very...